Welcome to Rolescape, an app focusing on creative flow for role players. While there's lots of great virtual tabletops and other player tools out there, our GM binders, notes, and world building ideas are still mostly on paper or scattered across documents online. Existing tools that try to address this tend to offer extremely structured world building filled with endless clicking and forms with dozens of fields. We found it hard to enter that creative flow with those kinds of tools, the sort that comes from more open-ended mediums like, pen and paper. Generic note-taking and mind mapping software are also pretty cool, but unfortunately they aren't built with role players in mind. So they end up not having a lot of the useful features we'd like to see, like prepping for game sessions, mapping, and otherwise helping us organize our worlds. That hard choice between finding things that enable creative flow and something that's actually designed for role players meant we just kept going back to our trusty binders filled with paper. It was kind of frustrating, so we began creating Rolescape just to get rid of those binders. It focuses on creativity and collaborative workflows for people who really love this hobby. So here's the login screen for the alpha of Rolescape. It is currently an alpha, and it's a closed alpha while we gather initial feedback before opening it up to a general open beta. So to log in, it's really simple. You put your email address in, and it emails you a link that you can use to log in, along with a optional security code. And once you're in, you're going to get a page much like this that shows your current Rolescapes. Or if you don't have any, it'll explain what to do next and offer you a small tour to take. So creating a new scape is really easy. You simply enter a name and away you go. I'm going to open one I created a little bit earlier here. And right now I'm seeing a list of all the entries I've made in my Tome of Lore. And the Tome of Lore is one of two things that all Rolescapes have, the other one being the adventure log. So the Tome of Lore is where we put all of our information about our campaign or our world or just our ideas in general. And the adventure log is where we organize our game sessions. So this is the Tome of Lore here. I can easily search through it if I want. So I'll go to Rith and I'll go Rithian Vale and it'll open up the Rithian Vale. I could also click here and you can notice that they're all organized as well. So the green ones are locations, these kind of bluey ones are organizations. There are several categories that are already preset for us: characters, deities, events, foes, items, locations, NPCs, nodes, organizations, and quests. So I can click on organizations here and I get just the line of Baron. I can click on locations and get Ryth and the Rythian Vale. And if I click on one of these, I get some content here. If I edit it, we'll see how this works. It's just markup. So I can do bold and italics, and I can do headings and tables and lists and all the other really cool things that you can do with markup. You'll also notice that we have these links that automatically connect entries together. And what's really nice is that they actually support autocomplete. So if I say I'm going to reference the location, it'll actually give me an autocomplete list for all the locations I already have created. Of course, if I create a new one, let's say the people of the Vale tend to worship and I'm going to create a new deity here, the Red Knight. And now what it's going to do is it's going to automatically create a deity for me called the Red Knight. And now I can start creating content for it. And you also notice that it says that it was mentioned by the Rithian Vale. So I can go through and start creating things without having to, step through and create things in advance. I can just start writing and it will create everything for me, kind of like a wiki in that sense. But we can see what mentions this, and I can jump around between those things really quickly and easily. I can also upload documents, or as we call them, manuscripts, and you can just drag and drop your files here, and now they're attached to that entry. Maps are coming soon as well. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So the search, of course, automatically updates. I can just type Knight, and you'll notice that it shows me both the Red Knight and the Rithian Vale. And I'm moving through this, by the way, with the keyboard, so you can just keep your hands on the keyboard if that's what you prefer. And so the Red Knight comes up first because it's in the title. Rithian Vale comes up next because it's in the content. So it organizes things by relevance. You can also make things visible or not visible to players. And that's controlled who is a player and who isn't. In the settings here, we can give it a name, a description. You can add other participants, and then people can be owners, game masters, authors, and they can also be players. And if they're players, some of the content might be hidden from them. And if they don't have authorship, they can't add things to it. Unless they're a player, then they can edit their own character. So that's the basic idea of the Tome of Lore at the moment. We have a lot more that we're going to be bringing to it, like maps. So that brings me to where we're going with this. The next thing that we're working on and at the moment is the adventure log, where you'll be able to take all the content that you've been creating here really quickly and easily and create sessions to play. This means GM and player notes, a shared bank and backpack so that players can pool their resources, be they currency or gold pieces or cool things they find along the way. There's usually that one player who's like the bank for the group and they have it all in their notebook. Well, now you can do it easily online. Creating handouts so you can take the places and things that they'll see, the documents you've uploaded, and say, oh, this is all going to be in this session. And just as easy as it is to link content here, it'll be just as easy in the adventure log as well. So creating a session with all of your content, really easy. And then you'll be able to see a timeline view of all those sessions along with your notes. And then you can take those notes and put them into your Tome of Lore. It's all meant to work together. Once the adventure log is up in the alpha, we're going to come back and work on mapping. And this allows us to upload files that are specifically designed to be maps where you can then put things in locations. Not only mark locations, but also mark, where are, if I put an NPC or a character, where are they right now? Where are they going? These kinds of things. The kinds of things that we've always really wanted as role players in a tool that helps us manage this world that we're trying to play in. So this is all designed to be multi-user, user-friendly, online, and really focused on creative flow. You notice that it's designed with kind of minimal disruption and a hyper focus on content. We're continuing to improve the UI and the features. We're doing weekly releases at the moment, sometimes a little more than that. And as soon as we get to that milestone of adventure logs, we're going to open it up for an open beta. And we hope to see you there when we do.